Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Vancouver Asian Heritage Month Virtual Recognition Awards Ceremony. My name is Jasper Slonyip, and I am the Festival Coordinator for Virtual Exploration 2020, and I will be your host tonight. On behalf of the Vancouver Asian Heritage Month Society, I'd like to thank you for joining our broadcast and for supporting virtual exploration. It has been a difficult time for all of us, but we have been very encouraged by the support we've received from our partners, our community, and from you. So before we start, I'd like to acknowledge that I am speaking to you from my home here in Vancouver, which is situated on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. I am grateful for the privilege of being able to live and work on these lands, and I'd like to invite you all to consider the long-standing and ongoing colonial histories that have brought us here to reside on these lands. So for the past 24 years, the Vancouver Asian Heritage Month Society, or VAHMS for short, has dedicated itself to promotion, understanding, and appreciation of Asian Canadian arts, heritage, and culture in Canadian society. Every May, during the Asian Heritage Month in Canada, VAHMS produces Exploration Festival, a month-long celebration that brings together all of our Pan-Asian communities here in the Lower Mainland and beyond. This year, Exploration went virtual, and while it posed a tremendous challenge to us and to all of our partners in the short term, it also taught us new ways to connect, as we are doing right now. And we will be taking what we've learned forward and incorporating the best of both worlds into our 2021 festival, when we at the Vancouver Asian Heritage Month Society will be celebrating our 25th anniversary. So now I'd like to introduce to you Leticia Sanchez, the president of the Vancouver Asian Heritage Month Society. Leticia holds a master's in education from Anahuac University in Mexico City. She studies liberal arts at SFU and has curated exhibitions since 2013. Leticia has been part of the board of directors since 2015, dedicating her time and skills to serve the organization by upholding its mission of social advocacy, understanding, appreciation, and recognition of Pan-Asian and Asian Canadian arts, culture, and heritage.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you all for sharing your time with us this evening. And the annual Recognitions Awards Gala is our premier fundraising event honoring and recognizing outstanding achievements and contributions made by those individuals and organizations who have worked towards promoting social cultural awareness and cross-cultural exchange. It is the power of their achievements and the effects and scale they have produced that make a difference and deserve to be honored. The Vancouver Asian Heritage Month Society is committed to create public awareness and appreciation of all the rich cultural diversity of Pan-Asian communities, as well as to build inclusive collaboration with all the Canadian provinces. We value the different ethnicities that conform our multicultural Canadian society and respect how each culture defines their heritage. We center our efforts on fostering a sense of belonging by promoting equity and understanding, and by standing strong against racial bias or prejudice. I want to thank our board of directors, advisors, senior advisors, Beverly Nunn and Ken McAteer, and especially Jasper Slonyip, our festival coordinator, an accomplished musician and researcher, for their passion to promote Asian heritage and their support to produce Virtual Exploration 2020. Before we start, I would like to pay tribute to two Pan-Asian Canadian figures who have left us, but whose legacy is an inspiration for the community. Alireza Ahmadian was an Iranian-Canadian journalist, researcher, and radio producer who supported Canadian arts, culture, and multiculturalism. His strong interest for international affairs, especially on topics of community, democracy, were always present in all his projects, writings, and talks when addressing social, political, and cultural issues. Ali Reza's achievements, along with his writing successes about immigration, will remain as his legacy to our diverse Pan-Asian communities. Ali Reza passed away on June 28, 2019. We at VAHMS were lucky to have had the opportunity to enjoy his always supportive and caring character. Wei Nan passed away this past Friday. He was a Chinese-Canadian ceramist artist born in Canton, China, who immigrated to Canada in 1951. Wayne graduated from the Emily Carr University of Art and Design with honors and lived in Hornby Island, BC since 1965. Wayne's holistic approach to the art of ceramics and his many awards and exhibitions, along with his extensive knowledge of Chinese and Raku pottery, as well as his love for nature, made him one of our most prominent plastic artists in the contemporary Canadian visual arts. Wayne and Ali Reza's work will remain part of the Pan-Asian Canadian culture and heritage. Now, I would like to introduce our special guest, Honorable Kang, Minister of Citizen Services in British Columbia, for being with us this evening. Minister Kang has been an active community volunteer since the age of 8 and has been a leader in many organizations that build community and support those who are vulnerable, and has a passion for lifelong learning. And she holds a Bachelor of Music from UBC, a Bachelor of Education, as well as a diploma in special education. Kang was selected as the MLA for Barnaby Deer Lake in 2017 and appointed Minister of Citizen Services in January of this year. Anne's commitment to our community was recognized when she was awarded the Queen's Diamond Jubilee in 2012 for her contributions to Canadian society. Thank you, Anne, for joining us. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Leticia. And before I begin, I do want to pay my tributes to Wayne and Ali Reza and really express that their work has been phenomenal in BC and their legacy will live on forever with everyone. With that, I'd like to say good evening with a heavy heart, but with a happy heart as well. My name is MLA, my name is Ann Kang. I'm the MLA for Barnaby Deer Lake and Minister of Citizen Services, as well as the Minister responsible for multiculturalism. And it's my absolute pleasure to be attending this event, first time virtually and safely with everyone here tonight. I am joining you from my office in Burnaby in the territory of the Coast Salish people, and I'm very grateful to be here. Celebrating Explore Asian and reflecting on the events all last month are particularly important in light of the recent rise in racially motivated attacks and vandalism during the COVID-19 outbreaks. And once again, I'd like to emphasize that hate has absolutely no place in BC and that we must all stand up and speak out against acts of violence and aggression. The vision of the Vancouver Asian Heritage Month Society is a vision that your government shares as well. Now more than ever, we must all promote the values and inclusion of diversity. Asian Canadians have deep roots in this province, as we have seen. Wayne has left a legacy behind. Over many generations, we have worked alongside all British Columbians to build the vibrant, multicultural society we enjoy today. So now it is a time to stand together in solidarity and celebrate one another. So tonight, we're here celebrating together. Thank you so much, Explore Asian. Thank you so much, Jasper, and thank you so much, Leticia, for all the hard work that you put out throughout the whole month. And thank you to all the awards winners who participated in this month's events. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Kang. We're so grateful to have you here with us again tonight. So I'd like to take a moment to thank and recognize some of our sponsors and supporters. The Government of Canada, the City of Vancouver, Vancouver is Awesome, University of British Columbia, the David Lamb Center, Simon Fraser University and their Humanities Department, the Museum of Vancouver, the Vancouver Public Library, Emily Carr University of Art and Design, and Hamazaki Wong, just to name a few. Their generous support makes Exploration Festival meaningful and viable, and we'd like to thank them for being an essential part of this celebration. So now I'd like to introduce a VAHMS director to you, Jing Polad, who is here to talk about an exciting new VAHMS project that launched earlier this year called Interconnected. Jing holds an MA in Contemporary Arts from Simon Fraser University in Vancouver, a Master's in Arts Management from Italy, and a BA in Organizational Communication from the Philippines. After a decade of work in the tech sector in Manila, Hong Kong, and Singapore, Jing is now integrating her diverse experience and knowledge to help expand an understanding of art that reflects our evolving relationship with technology. Hello, Jing.
Hi, Jasper. Thank you. And thank you, everyone who's joined us tonight for this really great event. In 2018, Leticia conceptualized an event where galleries and artists around Vancouver would present in their own spaces works of art that put front and center the remarkable diversity of the Pan-Asian culture. This became the Interconnected Project. It would, as Leticia puts it, follow a hub and spoke model where people across the city could visit one exhibition after another. It would also connect VAHMS, the galleries and artists with each other through mutual campaigns and support for the exhibitions and the project. However, as we all know, the measures to control the spread of COVID-19 meant that exhibition spaces would be closed indefinitely. This also meant that if we wanted Interconnected to launch this year, it would have to move online. And so we did just that. With the indomitable spirit, commitment, and eagerness of our participating galleries and artists to explore the digital space, we launched Virtual Interconnected. Under this project, Semiyamo Art Society created and launched the online exhibition Encounters Asian Fusion. Dr. Sun Yat-sen Classical Chinese Garden moved the Luminous Garden exhibition to the digital realm. Capulet Art Gallery enabled viewers at home to explore an extensive online catalog of artworks in Pan-Asian cultural connections. And Ken Allen Studios, through Ken's website, was the first online exhibition to launch with Explore Yin Yang, Discover Tai Chi. Apart from our gallery's efforts, we at VAHMS also featured artists who had contributed their time and talent to the organization in the past, and we promoted their work as part of the Exploration Art Connections. These talented artists are Danvik Briones, Esme Gaia McLaren, Nina Kuznetsova, Bert Monterona, and Gloria King. All the participating galleries and artists were promoted on the Exploration website and our social media channels. And because these artworks were easily available online, we were also able to present these works to art enthusiasts in Vancouver and beyond. Once again, I'd like to express my gratitude, our gratitude to the galleries and artists who, despite the complications of a pandemic, continue to be part of this inaugural Interconnected project. Thank you, and we hope you'll join us again for Interconnected 2021.
Thank you, Jing, and thanks for doing such a great job this year with Interconnected. Okay, so now we have a very special musical guest with us tonight, V-Ann. V-Ann is a world music recording artist and composer specializing in spontaneous, intuitive compositions on various Asian long-plucked zithers, including the Japanese koto, Vietnamese dang cha, and the Chinese zheng instruments. A completely self-taught musician, VAN has released 25 independent solo albums to date and collaborated with thousands of other artists, musicians, and theater groups from around the world. Tonight, she performs a delightful original piece titled Mama's Lullaby of Eternity for the 30-stringed Zhang instrument. This piece celebrates the life and legacy of her late mom, for whom VAN represents intercultural and Asian heritage, a great and enduring legacy in her life. Wow, VN, that was stunning. That was beautiful. We were all chatting together here, complimenting your music. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you for having me.
So now I'd like to introduce another VAHMS director to everybody. I'm pleased to introduce Shaheed Abrar Al-Hassan. Shaheed has been working as a language educator and researcher in multiple roles for about 2 decades. He's currently a professor of language education and works in Vancouver, BC. He's previously taught at the University of British Columbia and the University of the Fraser Valley. He also serves as a subject expert with the British Columbia Ministry of Advanced Education. Moreover, he is an affiliate faculty at public universities in China and the USA. Hello, Shaheed.
Okay, so it looks like I'm unmuted now. All right, thank you, Jesper. It's a pleasure for me to share with you about the recognition awards and the awardees. So these recognition awards are given to appreciate and to recognize the Canadian Asian arts and culture. So it involves a very extensive process. The call is sent out well in advance and promoted through VAHMS and other forums, both electronically and through word of mouth as well. So we did receive a number of nominations, both from individuals as well as from organizations or groups as well. So after the due date, so there was a committee constituted, which was comprised of 3 members, and it was chaired by Patricia Vuruc. She's here as well, and one of the members were Wendy Wu, and she's the advisor and consultant in the City of Vancouver, China Town Initiative, and myself. So we work on the vetting the nominations, and after a very thorough process. So I'm very pleased to introduce to inform you that we have chosen 3 awardees, and so the first I'd like to introduce the first awardee, which is basically a group award, and that goes to Yoyo Theatre Movement Society, which is a dance company founded by Yoyo in 1990. She was born and raised in Japan, and she has lived in Vancouver since 2002. Over the past 30 years, she has continued her study of Japanese dance and movement, such as Kagura no and Kyogan and Kabuki dance, as well as Western dance forms such as classic ballet and modern dance. In 1989, she became the first mime artist to receive the Japanese Ministry of Education Fellowship and spent a year collaborating with mime and dance artists in Germany and Canada. The Yoyo Theatre Movement Society has taken a leadership role in performing in promoting cross-cultural exchange between many Asian arts societies and Canadian audiences who are not familiar with Japanese traditional dance and movements. Over the decades, Yoyo Theatre Movement Society has collaborated with many Canadian dance companies and artists, Jewish storytellers, indigenous storytellers, and many other communities that exist outside of the traditional Japanese community, with the goal of creating meaningful cultural exchange through the theater experience. So I would like to now request Yoyo and to this Hirano to receive the award.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Yoyo, founder and artistic director of Yoyo Theatre Movement Society. YTM is in solidarity with communities of color and First Nations in Canada who have long suffered under systemic injustice. During this horrific and unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic, we thank Vancouver Asian Heritage Month Society for the hard work and keep running with the bright torch, advocating for equality and inclusion for Asian communities. It is our honor to receive the first ever virtual recognition award ceremony. So I have mask. This is Uzume mask, and she is a story I'm going to tell you. Because once in a long time ago, Japan was dark. So in the dark, a lot of bad things happen. And why? Because goddess of sun disappeared in the dark area. There was a big door wall. So every god wanted her to come back. What to do? Everybody asked her to come out and do some dance. So she came out, the dance, and she was kind of comical person to dance. So everybody laughed a lot. And because everybody laughed, the goddess heard that voice, and she wanted to see what's going on outside, and she peed. And then other God came and wide opened this wall. So now goddess of sun is coming out. Everybody happy. And I want to tell another story, which is this. This guy is God of Gate. What happened? He is actually became a husband of goddess of sun. And why his face is red? He's not Japanese. He is foreigner. And also he's very tall, 2 meters high. Anyway, so they became our husband and wife. And they lived long time together. So I hope this difficult season, everybody can survive and have a good time. And take care, and thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Yoyo Hirano, for all the great work that you have been contributing to the society over the years, and we do appreciate that. And thank you for being here with us today. And now it's my distinct pleasure to introduce VAHMS board member, as well as the chair of the awards committee, Patricia Burich. Patricia Burich has very extensive experience of contributing to society in a number of roles, and her service is spread over decades. And Patricia is currently the Chief Executive Officer of Immigrant and Service Society of BC here in Vancouver. So over to Patricia.
Thank you, Shaheed. So it is my distinct pleasure to present the next recognition award to Margaret Gallagher. And I suspect Margaret's known to most, if not all of us. Margaret's been a regular voice on CBC radio since 2001 on programs such as Hot Air, the early edition, and Canada Live. Prior to joining the CBC, Margaret was active in the Vancouver art scene, working with groups such as Western Front, the Video Inn, and the Independent Film and Video Alliance. Actively involved in community outreach, Margaret has tirelessly devoted her time and efforts to many Vancouver events. She's hosted dozens of events for a variety of arts and community groups, and even won a Community Builder Award from the Hapapalooza Festival of Mixed Roots in recognition of her work to connect communities. And we all know how incredibly critical that is. For many years, Margaret has collaborated with Pan-Asian communities, individuals, institutions, not-for-profit organizations, including VAHMS, to promote the inclusion and representation of Asian traditions and cultures in Canadian society. Her strong leadership and kind approach have allowed her to reach many audiences and promote a more equitable and accepting society. Margaret, over to you.
Thank you so much, Patricia, and thank you to everybody. And I'm just going to admit that I'm in an attic here surrounded by old Christmas decorations and kids' books, and that I was in overalls until a couple of hours ago from working up here. So it's really nice to have everybody join us this evening for this event. And I miss seeing all of you in person at the Pink Pearl. So thank you, Patricia. And I want to say thank you to Asian Heritage Month Society for this incredible honor and for the work that you do all year long to promote inclusivity, to provoke conversation and to celebrate the incredible diversity of the Asian Canadian experience. I'm humbled to be recognized tonight in such esteemed company as Seema Hopper and Yoyo Hirano, because the work that you do and your organization does to connect and enlighten people is really remarkable. Thank you to Leticia Sanchez and the Asian Heritage Month Society Board, to Jasper Sloan Yip for all the work you've done with your team to pull this together in the face of like really huge challenges. And I just want to say hello to my Kui family clan, who I think are online, from like my Uncle Joe and cousin Andrew in San Francisco. My mom's in Vernon, my Auntie Meg is in North Carolina, and my brother Patrick's in LA. And I'm sorry if I've missed anybody. But yes, this is the beauty of, I guess, having an online event, is that my relatives from far away can join in. So it does seem like yesterday, but it also seems like forever ago that we all gathered last year at the Pink Pearl for the 2019 awards. And I have fond memories of seeing so many of you as I ran between the stage and the silent auction tables. And sometimes I think that the reason that you invite me to MC is because I am so enthusiastic about a good silent auction. And I also remember with great fondness the warmth and enthusiasm that the gala co-host Ali Reza Ahmadian brought to the evening. And I know that he's deeply missed, as we have been hearing from people this evening. And I also think back to many, many years ago when I had the honor of hosting these awards on a night that my dear friend Harry Aoki was recognized for his lifelong commitment to the work of fighting racism and nurturing connections through art and music. And Harry has been gone since 2013, but I know that he still inspires me and so many of you who are in this virtual room. Harry and I first met 20 years ago, and I was sitting on the floor of the Nikkei Center, and I was singing as part of the Gamelan Kaimaru Sari for an Asian Heritage Month event, actually. And I had joined the gamelan so that I could connect with my maternal roots. My mom, Kathy, or Kwei Ting Chu, is Chinese Indonesian, and my late father, Joseph Gallagher, was Irish American. And when they got married in Indiana in the 1960s, my mom had to check a box that said that she was white on the marriage certificate, because Black and white were the only options at the time, and interracial marriage was still illegal in that state. So when I was born a couple of years later in Canada, my parents intentionally gave me the very, very non-Asian name of Margaret Mary Gallagher, because they thought it would be easier. And I do know that growing up in small and medium towns throughout British Columbia, my brothers Patrick and Christopher and I, we were, if not the only Asian kids in the school or in our class, among the very, very few. And we were definitely the only ones who had Indonesian grandparents living with us. And the rare times that we did meet other Hapa kids, we felt like we finally had found our own country. You know, sometimes there was blatant racism, especially when we were really young, but that did seem to fade as we were older. And I don't know if it's because of our Irish American names and if they're Irish Catholic names, or if it's because we looked less Asian as we got older. But I also like to think that it's because BC has become more diverse and more inclusive. And today my daughter Maxine, who's watching in another room, she attends an East Van school where the kids speak over 20 different languages. She has friends and classmates who share her Asian, her Arabic, and her European roots. And she says that she hasn't personally experienced racism, but I do know that she hears about it every single day as we listen to CBC radio and watch the news. She hears daily stories of systemic and blatant racism towards Indigenous people and towards Black people. And I do want to acknowledge that today is Juneteenth and that Sunday is National Aboriginal Peoples Day. And increasingly, as we know, my daughter is hearing stories of racism towards people who look like her grandmother, who may or may not be wearing a mask. And I want her to know that even though the world that she's growing up in is far more diverse and inclusive than that of my childhood, that we still need to continue to speak out against racism, to stand up for change, and to listen to each other. And I've been really, really lucky to work at CBC for almost 20 years and really lucky to be on the coast now. I know that Gloria Makarenko is listening in and my colleague Sherelle Tobin is on the line. It's a real honor and privilege to be given a voice and also given a chance to amplify the voices of others. And I think that this recognition is a reminder to me to work harder to build a just society that really makes room for everyone. And I'm very thankful to be a part of the community that Asian Heritage Month Society has built. So, terima kasih.
Thank you so much, Margaret. I think that that it's an honor to really hear your words and talk about this need of understanding each other and speak the same language, not the same language like different languages, but this universal language of values and understanding. I want to let you know that the awards haven't been printed. That's why you don't see them, but you will have them soon at home. Thank you so much. Last but not least, I have our third awardee, Seema Hopper said. I hope I pronounced this properly. Seema is the co-founder, director, and editor-in-chief of Hamayari Media, a bi-weekly magazine which serves BC's Farsi-speaking community by providing original content through a trusted source of news, arts, and culture. Hamayari Media was established in 2016. Seema also founded the popular Facebook group named Hamayari Iranian Vancouver, which means Iranians Outreach in Vancouver. This virtual platform provides newcomers with information and resources to help them settle in their new communities. Through her personal involvement in these projects, Seema has improved the quality of life for thousands of newcomers coming from Farsi-speaking regions in Asia. And Seema is also an active member of the National Ethnic Press and Media Council of Canada. Her leadership has been recognized with the prestigious awards in 2018 and 2019 for her public-spirited support for equality, human rights, cooperation, and understanding among the members of various cultural groups in Canadian society. It's my privilege to introduce you to Seema Hopper. Seema, thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Leticia. Thank you, everyone. Good evening, all. Thanks for attending. I'm very honored to be here tonight and equally grateful to be the recipient of this award. I'm truly honored to be recognized by such a great organization. Thank you, the Vancouver Asian Heritage Month Society's Board of Directors and staff, and thank you, the panel of judges. It's also such a great honor to be recognized for this award along with Margaret Gallagher and Yoyo Theater Movement Society. I'm very grateful to all the people who have touched my life since I started to walk this new path. I'm especially grateful to a number of amazing people whose support is the sole reason I'm here tonight. I would like to thank all the current and previous Hamayari Group admins, without whom moderating this populous and active group would have been impossible, as well as all my colleagues, all the contributors and local business owners whose support made Hamayari Media survive and thrive. I wish I could name all these wonderful people here. And last but not least, I would like to extend my very special thanks to Human Kabiri, my friend and my colleague, without whom Hamayari Media wouldn't have existed today. Our work is far from over, but we are lucky enough to have devoted leaders, community leaders like Fred Sufi, also a director with VAHMS, and many others who have shaped the Iranian community in Vancouver, the leaders who inspire us, and we strive to follow their footsteps. So let's roll up our sleeves and continue this journey with our best dedication and care. And lastly, I would like to dedicate this award to the memory of my friend Ali Reza Ahmadian, a passionate volunteer with the Vancouver Asian Heritage, who had inspired me, and I miss him dearly. Thank you all for attending. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Seema, and congratulations to you, and to you, Margaret, and to you, Yoyo. Thank you for joining us and sharing your remarks. It's so great to have you all. So this brings us to the end of our first ever virtual recognition awards ceremony and the end of the first ever virtual Exploration Festival. We'd like to thank you so much again for joining us today and for all your support throughout Asian Heritage Month this year. We're already hard at work preparing for 2021, which will be, as I said, the 25th year of the Vancouver Asian Heritage Month Society. There's a lot of exciting developments to come, and we'll be counting on your support as we go into our 25th year. Until then, we are committed to sharing and supporting all of our partners from Pan-Asian communities throughout the year, and we will continue to share all of their events that are ongoing in our partners' communities. So please stay connected with us through Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and sign up for our mailing lists so you can stay up to date. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to all of our presenters and panelists for taking the time to be here tonight, and we will see you soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. It's good to see you all, and thank you for being with us. I hope to see you next year for the celebration of our 25th anniversary. And again, thank you. Thank you for working hard in pro of our communities, in pro of democracy, and for supporting all the people around the world. Thank you.